Hi everyone, I am Mitsiani and I'm here to discuss our Module 7 milestone assignment. So let's begin our journey to the cause of taxation. Here's a scenario that we were given. The government must raise tax revenue to pay for schools, police, etc. To do this, it can either tax groceries or meals at fancy restaurants. Which should it tax? What will make sense to me though is that meals at fancy restaurants should be taxed since it's not as important as groceries. Let's find out more from these following graphs. First of all, this is a graph of market for groceries, and this is without tax. Let's say that quantity is the number of trips you make to the grocery store. The price of 4 trips is $100 of groceries. We can then compute the consumer surplus, which is the area of the triangle. The formula is zero point 0.5 multiplied by base multiplied by height. Hence, by multiplying zero point 0.5 to the base or equilibrium quantity 4 and multiply this to the height or 100, we will get $200 consumer surplus. Producer surplus should be the same amount of $200 as the consumer surplus since it has the same base and height. Then you just add both, to get $400 consumer surplus and producer surplus. Okay? Now, here comes the tax of $50. Now we have to compute the new consumer surplus and producer surplus here. Again, the formula is the same, zero point 0.5 times base times height. Yet on this calculation, we have a new base and new height. For consumer surplus, the blue shaded one, the new base is 3, then the new height is 200 minus 125, which is equal to 75. Then we multiply all of these, zero point 0.5 times 75 times 3 equals to $112.50. The producer's surplus or the pink shaded color should be the same also of $112.50. Then we compute the tax revenue. The tax imposed for both the buyer and sellers is $50. The orange color shaded or what we call the tax wedge, multiply this 50 to 3 that quantity and we get $150. Now we add everything, consumer surplus, total surplus, um, producer surplus total, and tax revenue where we get $375. Now, there's this concept of deadweight loss. As you probably already know, this is the fall in total surplus that results from a market distortion, like in this case, tax. See the highlighted color in yellow? This is the DWL and it is 25. The difference from total welfare or surplus without tax of $400 to total welfare with tax of $375. Now on with the market for meals at fancy restaurants. Again, we'll see a graph without the tax. The total surplus here is $4,500. And on this graph, the total surplus is 3,000. Again, you will see the deadweight loss here calculated and it's $1,500. Now that you have seen both with taxes imposed, which one needs to be taxed? It was indicated from the book that there's really no single right answer. One choice will not be better than the other. But there's a one way to follow on which to tax. The government could tax the goods or services with the smallest deadweight loss or DWL. Since the groceries have the smallest DWL, groceries could be the one to be taxed. Also, taxing goods or services depends on the elasticities of supply and demand. As you can tell from these two graphs, groceries are less price elastic than meals at fancy restaurant, right? And remember, groceries are a necessity than meals at fancy restaurants. So if you can tell, a tax on restaurant meals would cause a larger DWL than a tax on groceries. So it turned out to be that the tax really depends on how large is the DWL or the deadweight loss on these markets and the price elasticity. But the argument also lies within that people with low income could be hurt by taxing groceries because they shop more on their groceries. This type of tax could be called regressive. However, if there's really a decision again to make which one to tax, taxing groceries should be a small amount or small sacrifice that hopefully will not hurt people with low income. And if we tax the groceries, the result that the purchase on groceries will be lesser, but the total food purchases should not decrease significantly anyway because the tax is spread out over a large number of consumers. And again, that the demand is relatively inelastic, people will buy groceries more no matter what. So hopefully you have learned something on your journey to the cause of taxation and have now an idea what makes sense with market to tax. We surely can again appreciate the study of microeconomics, particularly supply and demand, elasticity, and deadweight loss. Thank you.